Hey, what's up, guys? Clangin and Bang with Mikey. I think this is the fourth podcast. Anyway, you guys are looking at my setup. This is what I do when I'm not working out or not doing anything work related. This is my this is my second. Actually not well. I don't want to shortchange it. It was music has always been my number one passion. You know, way before weight training, way before I knew what a fucking dumbbell was, this shit was it. I started young and I continued in college and then I stopped because life got in the way. But boy, back at it. Um, but this episode I should say, isn't about fucking music. It's about mental health and just shit in general, man. Just uh knowing when to walk away from situations that no longer benefit you as an individual. And yeah, and I see that a lot, man. I see a lot of people, whether it's romantic relationships, friendships, or just on the cusp of something, hoping it be something better than what it is. And it sucks when it ends prematurely because you have this preconceived notion that it's all gonna be fucking rosy peaches and cream, whatever fucking terminology you want to use. And a lot of the time, it's shit that we make up in our head that it's not conducive to actual reality. And I was watching this podcast on YouTube, and the guy goes, if you really want to get to know somebody, ask some serious questions. Nothing too personal, but just no cookie cutter shit. Like say asking it. Let's just take for instance a girl. Uh, Asking a girl what her favorite color is, what her favorite food is, and yeah, that's important, but that's not getting her to think. And you need to ask those tough questions because it shows you off the bat, you know, who you dealing with and how they handle certain things. Because it doesn't take much energy or thought to say, "Oh, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite food?" That doesn't jog the brain. That doesn't make the other person get what the term I coined as mentally naked. And a lot of motherfuckers, myself included, we have underlying traumas or underlying issues that we refuse to deal with. And so we end up masquerading these issues or these problems into other activities. For me, it's weight training and music. For other people, it may be, I don't know, drinking, or doing shit on the weekends that you normally wouldn't do. And this pandemic has not only made a lot of people sit down and deal with this shit, but you had no choice but to face it. You had no choice but to deal with it. Regardless if you were still at work or whatever it is, or unemployed or whatever it is, you had ample time during the day where you had to sit with your thoughts and you had to deal with your shit. And a lot of people, they haven't done that. There are a lot of people who still are entertaining old situations, old relationships, and it's not conducive to growth. It's not conducive to bettering yourself as an individual or just becoming a better overall person. I was once told if you keep going back to a old situation, and you keep running into the same problem, maybe you should remove yourself from that situation. Because whether you're religious or whether you, whatever, what's the word I'm looking for? Whatever terminology you want to put in there. And it's like, if you keep running into the same issue, chances are you're the problem. It's not the other person, or it's not the object that's in your way. It's you, because you're going back to the same situations expecting a different result. That's insanity. And another thing that I've realized a long time ago is that you can't force somebody to communicate with you or comprehend or understand what you're trying to, convey to them. Even if you break it down, people are going to believe what they want to believe, and that's fine. And I think for a lot of people, they want to go back to the way things used to be, or the way things was, when everything was good, and when you could, hide your flaws in your relationship, with focusing on something else, focusing on the other person rather than focusing on yourself. Will Smith famously said, "My happiness is my responsibility, and so is my wife's happiness. It's her responsibility." He goes, people get it twisted when they think that they're obligated to take care of somebody else's happiness when you're not. End of the day, when you look into the mirror, there's only one person staring back at you. There's only one person, which is you, staring in the mirror. So you're in charge of how you react to shit, how you emotionally respond to shit. You're in charge of all that. And I had this friend of mine growing up. He would always deflect his, the reason he was pissed off and angry off of somebody else's, issue. And I looked at it, I'm like, bro, it's like you keep blaming other people, but in reality, it's 100% you and how you respond to shit. And I think a lot of people don't know how to respond to shit in a adult way. They want to sit there and get mad or get flustered or whatever it is, and they want to deflect blame on something else. Or when you ask them questions of why they think the way they think, and they can't answer these questions, from my personal and professional perspective, I believe a lot of people, they don't like to sit with their demons. They don't like to sit with their insecurities. They don't like to sit with things that actually make them face their shit. They want to deflect. They want to portray that everything's good, everything's gravy, everything's Gucci, and it's not. Which brings me to my next bullet point. Social media, man, it's a cancer. I don't care if it's Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, IG, it doesn't matter. People portray what they want you to see. They give you a snapshot of all the shit, that sounds positive or that will make them look good. And in reality, a lot of these motherfuckers are broken mentally. And we got to do a better job as individuals in fixing ourselves. Because I've seen so many people jump from relationship to relationship. And I'm like, bro, do you even know yourself? It's like, do you know what you like and what you dislike? Do you know what you're going to put up with and what you're not going to put up with? Do you know what type of partner that you want to have, man? It's so much shit that people got to think about. But it's easier just to hop, to hop in a relationship with somebody else because you're able to focus on them rather than focusing on you, which is the real problem. Because I've seen a lot of people, they want to deflect all the shit that they got going on into the other person. Like it's their job. Like it's the other person's job to stop them from being a fucking asshole, and it's not the case. And it all boils down to mental health, man. It's like a lot of people don't know how to deal with their own shit. A lot of people want to sit there and complain because that's the easy thing to do. Easy thing to do is sit there and be like, oh, well, it's not my fault. It's how I was raised. Or this is the golden example. Oh, I didn't know any better because my parents never taught me any better. I'm like, bro, you in your 20s or your 30s. You have no excuse to you be using that bullshit, And it is a bullshit excuse. Because that tells me that you're not involved in personal growth. That tells me that you're not willing and able to realize that you yourself have to change. And I think a lot of people, they're used to their trauma. They're used to not dealing with this shit. They're used to brushing it under the rug and not having to deal with it until it pops up until its ugly face pops up in your relationship. Now you're forced to deal with it. Now you're forced to deal with your insecurities, or maybe you have infidelities. I don't know. Whatever. It is what it is. I think it's extremely cowardice, to be a grown ass adult and to do the shit that some people are doing simply because that's what they saw growing up. I don't care what it is. At some point in time, you know that what you're doing is detrimental, not just to yourself as an individual, but to other people around you. How you speak, how you think, how you respond to shit. We all have the ability to change that, man. We all have the ability to rewire the way we think. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some effort. It's going to take a lot of self-coaching and a lot of self-reflection to do that. But it's possible. And I've been single for the last 5-6 years. And what I noticed is that a lot of people, they ask me, like, oh, yeah, well, Mike, well, you're such a good guy, this and this and that. Like, how are you single? And I jokingly say, like, oh, well, I've been looking in these streets and it's the same shit. It's, different faces, same game. And that's how I jokingly play it off. But the reason why I'm single is because, number one, I'm looking around and a lot of people, they aren't who they say they are, really. They aren't who they portray themselves to be. Like you ask some people some tough questions, man, and it's like they run, or they deflect because it's gonna cause them to really think about themselves in a way that they don't want to think about themselves. And self-reflection, growth, all that shit is difficult. I'm not gonna lie. But at the same time, if somebody takes the time to really try to understand your psyche and understand where you're coming from, that means they're trying to understand you. So I think a lot of people, when it comes down to understanding why they're asking those questions or why they're asking you in the way they're asking you, is because not only do they want to understand you more, they're trying to understand how you think. They're trying to understand why you think why you think what you think. So, man, I just look at that and I'm like, yeah, yo. It's like, next time somebody hits you with some real life questions, just take stock in that, man. It's like, instead of running away from it, run towards it. You know, face that shit. Because talk is cheap, man. It's like everybody is out there doing some shit or saying some shit for the gram or posting some bullshit positive quote knowing good and goddamn well that you ain't fucking living it. You know? And yeah, man, that's my piece on this, bro. I'm gonna holler at y'all. Goes.